Okay, welcome back students. So as I said, we have to understand what is a class, what is an object, and how these two things are interrelated. In my previous video already I explained what is a class. It is a blueprint to an object. And what is an object? It is an instance of the class. So instance means an example we can consider. It is an example of a class, a real-time entity. Okay, so quickly let us discuss a simple example so that you remember. So we said class is the blueprint. Class is blueprint. And object we said it's an instance. Object is an instance. Class is a blueprint and object is an instance. Let us suppose we are planning to construct a building. We are planning to construct a house or a building. So immediately what comes in our mind? We need a plan. How we are going to construct that house or how we are going to construct that building, we need a plan. That plan will be having on a paper, isn't it? Plan means, are we going to construct a prototype for that model? No, we are not going to construct any prototype. We simply, what we do, we'll have a plan on a paper. That plan is nothing but class, your class. You can remember in that way. The plan, what we are going to have on a paper is nothing but the blueprint for the object. That house, the building is an object. It is a real-time entity, isn't it? So in that same way, in order to construct, in order to make this duster, we need to have the design first of all. First of all, we need to have the design, how we are going to construct this, how we are going to manufacture this duster. Duster is the real-time entity. That plan is the class. Duster is the instance of that class, because based on that design only we manufactured this duster. That is the reason why we call this duster as the real-time entity, we call this duster as the object, and the design we call it as a class. Hope you understood. In the same way, whenever we are constructing a house or whenever we are constructing a building, that building or that house will be your object, and whatever plan you are having prior to the construction of that house, whatever plan you are having, that plan is nothing but your class. In that way you can remember. Not only the house, not only the building, in today's world, in today's real-time environment, whatever objects we are constructing, every object is going to have a plan. Prior to its manufacturing, prior to its design, prior to its development, it will have a design. That design is your class, and after, according to that design, whatever entity or whatever object you are designing, we call that as an object. Hope this will answer. So blueprint is the plan for house, like this you remember. Plan for house, and house is the real-time entity. House is the real-time entity. So now class is a blueprint. Class is a blueprint and object is an instance. Object is an instance. Example I have given, before construction of the house, we'll have a plan. That plan, we call it as a class, and after, according to that plan, whatever product you are developing, okay, whatever real-time entity you are developing, that real-time entity will be called as an object. In programming also, we'll follow the same rules. Okay, when it comes to programming, we'll follow the same rules. Before constructing the objects, we have to design the classes. Before constructing the objects, we have to design the classes. Or we can say, based on the classes only, we will design the objects. Based on the classes only, we will design the objects. Based on the plan only, we will construct the house. Based on the plan only, we will construct the house. In that same way, based on the class only, we will construct the objects in our programming. So what needed, whenever you are creating an object, what is required? Class is required, because class is the blueprint. By following that blueprint only, we will construct the objects. You remember in that way. Okay. Yeah, now we have to understand what is encapsulation. So, see, before going to this encapsulation, one more important difference we have to understand between C and C++. That is nothing but between structured programming and object-oriented programming. Okay, so in structured programming, object-oriented programming. Okay, see, whenever you write a program, in every program we are going to have two things in common. One is data. We are creating the variables, we are storing the values into those variables. In my yesterday's class also I told you, whatever values you are storing inside variables, we call those values as our data. Clear? We call the values which is there inside the variables as data. So in every program we are going to have those variables with values. So in every program we are going to have data in common. And the next thing, in order to manipulate the data, we will have logic. So in every program, in every C program, we are going to have these two things in common. These two things in common. The first thing, the data. The second thing, the logic. In traditional programming languages, like in your C programming, yeah, here I wrote structured programming or structural programming. That is nothing but your C programming. In traditional programming languages, the focus will be more on logic. They will give more focus, more importance to logic rather than giving it to the data. Clear? In structured programming languages, the focus will be more on logic. But in object-oriented programming languages or in higher level programming languages, what we do means we give, here also we are going to have data plus logic in common. Data plus logic in every program. But here what we do, we give more importance to data. We give more importance to data and less importance to logic. Okay, using a class, what we do, we combine these two things together. Whatever logic we want to implement and whatever data we want to use, those two things we will combine and we will put inside a single element. That element is nothing but your class. Clear? Inside a class, what we do means we will wrap up, like you might have seen the medicine capsules. What they will do inside that medicine capsules, they will put all the important ingredients, all the important medicine inside that capsule and they will wrap it, they will fix it, isn't it? So in that same way, what we do inside a class, we put this logic plus data together and we will wrap it like a capsule. We will wrap it like a capsule. So we will put data plus logic. We will put data plus logic. So this kind of phenomenon is called as encapsulation. Encapsulation. Okay, wrapping the data plus logic together is nothing but encapsulation. Okay. Sorry, quickly check me. So with the help of classes only, we are achieving this encapsulation phenomenon. How we are achieving encapsulation? In the sense, with the help of classes only, we are achieving it. See here, the second point, if you read, you will understand that one. Encapsulation is a process of combining data members and member functions in a single unit. Combining the data members and member functions. Data is nothing but your data members. Okay, logic, where we wrote, where we usually write the logic inside the functions only, isn't it? Inside the functions, we will write the logic. So if you combine these two things together, if you encapsulate these two things together, we call that phenomenon as encapsulation. And how we are achieving that encapsulation means with the help of classes only. Example, class, over there I wrote. Okay, so the next thing after encapsulation, we have abstraction. As I told, in object oriented programming, we'll be having more security. Okay, we'll be having more security. How we are achieving that security means by hiding the details, by hiding the information. And how we are hiding that information means inside the class we have the flexibility of making some of the data members as private and some of the data members as public. And you all of you know the difference between public and private. Whenever something is public, that means everybody can see, everybody can do editing, everybody can play with that thing, isn't it? And if something is private, nobody except the owner will have the access rights to it. Nobody except the owner is going to have the access rights. Suppose if you have some videos on YouTube, those are private. That means if a user is uploading some videos on the YouTube and making those videos as private, means nobody else can view those videos except the owner. But whereas if the same user making some videos as public, that means everybody can watch those videos. So by making the videos as private, what the user is doing is he's gaining some kind of security on his information. He's gaining some kind of protection on his data. In that same way, inside a class, we have the flexibility of making the variables as private as well as making the variables as public. So when you make those variables as private, they will be hidden. From the outside world, they will be hidden. That kind of hiding is nothing but data hiding or abstraction, data abstraction. Hiding or protecting the data is nothing but data hiding or data abstraction. I will give you one simple example in order to remember this data hiding, how it can be achieved in the real-time world. See, everybody is quite familiar with how to use a TV remote, isn't it? We simply having the buttons on the TV remote and we are pressing it and the TV will change the channels. But internally, how that thing is happening, when you are pressing a button, how the channel is changing from one channel to another channel, or if you are pressing the volume buttons, how the volume is increasing and decreasing, that phenomenon we don't know. All those details are hidden, isn't it? All those details are not exposed to the end user. Those details are hidden. What the end user knows means how to operate that remote. He knows only that one. But how internally the remote is working, he don't know. So the internal working of that remote is hidden from the end user. So that is nothing but information hiding or data hiding. That is called as data abstraction. That is called as data abstraction. Giving only the important things to the end user. Giving only what the end user requires, what the end user needs. That is called as data abstraction. We'll see the other object-oriented programming concepts in our next video. Thank you.